Welcome to Black Girls Film Camp Shorts Program Block 10 that you can find on SparkFest. We're excited to have the girls from Black Girls Film Camp participate in the Q&A with us today. If you're not familiar with the organization, BGFC is an organization that cultivates the next generation of storytellers from dream to screen. So we're going to get right into it. If everyone can introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourself, your inspiration behind your film, and what led you to this particular story or concept. Ashley.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I wanted to do a film that really highlighted the fact that African-American girls are often, their voices aren't included in society and they're excluded from the limelight. And I wanted to combine this, my interest in science fiction and dystopian films. And so I created Mute, which is a science fiction film where Deja lives in a metaphorical world and certain people are stripped of their voices.
Thank you. And who would like to go next? How about Sydney? Oh, I'm sorry. Taryn, you raised your hand? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're all good. Well, my name is Taryn Pinder. I'm 17 years old. I'm from Winterville, North Carolina, and my film is called Desquamated. Desquamated is a thriller film made with the production BGFC. I came across this organization when I was just 16 years old. The interest meeting was actually on my birthday. This opportunity gave us the voice that a lot of teenage girls don't get to be behind the screen and really create their own vision, which a lot of adults don't allow teenagers to do. So I was really grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you for that. Avery?
Hi, first off, I just wanted to say I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our films today. My name's Avery. I'm 15 years old. I currently live right outside of Atlanta, but I'm originally from Chicago. Gotta point that out every time I speak. And my film that I made as a part of the Black Girls Film Camp 2023 cohort is titled The All Arounds. And it's a story about two girls who were best friends turned frenemies, have to reconnect once they're in their 40s to work together to save their childhood home, which was their old Double Dutch Rec Center that they grew up at and had their very own team at. And it's really a story of sisterhood, especially Black sisterhood, Black excellence. Double Dutch is something that has been a staple in the Black community for a long time. So I really wanted to be able to highlight that and be able to show sisterhood in a positive way and just Black stories in a positive way in general that can often not be shown on the screen. So I'm very grateful to Black Girls Film Camp that I had the opportunity to share this story with them. And I'm once again grateful to share it today. So thank you.
Thank you. We're excited to have all of you young ladies and of course, screening your films. Sydney?
Hi, my name is Sydney White. I am from Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm currently in LA at USC, majoring in film and TV production with a minor in real estate development. And Within is about a young girl who is struggling with her self-image. It's supposed to be a relatable film. What inspired me is to have a relatable film for Black girls, that they all go through that phase of what they want to look like versus what society wants them to look like. So I'm so grateful for Black Girls Film Camp. I'm a part of cohort 2022, and I'm so excited to be here. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Since you just asked, since you just answered did your introduction, Sydney, I have a question about what you looked for when you had the actresses in your film, and what was the relationship that you had with them?
The relationship I had with the actress, the main actress who played Bulanle, she is actually a good friend of mine. And I honestly just wanted a girl that looked like someone that was normal, but also very melanated. I know that's straightforward to say, but I thought my friend was very beautiful, and I felt like she kind of embodied what I was looking for visually. It was actually her first time acting, and she did a great job. And I just didn't have the experience with reaching out to actors and the time commitment. So I decided to reach out to a close friend. And she did a really good job. So I'm really grateful for her.
Thank you. Another question that I have is that this is basically, your film is basically about a young girl. She's in school and she has a crush on a young boy. And I guess it didn't work out the way she wanted. His response to her passing him a note. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, if I'm being honest, like in growing up, I got rejected a lot. But I knew also a lot of girls get rejected a lot as a Black girl for, like how they look, or we go to the conclusion of this might be because of how I look. I don't look like the girls that are being presented in media. So that was kind of just like the catalyst of the bigger conversation. And I think growing up for me, that's the problem that I had that made me question how I looked. So that's what came up with the idea for the note and the rejection and all the other stuff.
Thank you for that. And with the short film Disquamented, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Desquamated, actually. It's Latin, so everybody gets it wrong all the time. You're good.
Thank you. So Dina in this film, she gets tired of being bullied, and she ends up making her own. I think she ends up making her own makeup. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's like a beauty serum of like after you're done washing your face, you put like moisturizer on and all that good stuff. She gets this ad on her phone, decides to make her own beauty serum to give her the features that she would want, because everybody has something, whether it's small or big, that they want to change about themselves. So this was my way of having a tangible item to have people envision her actually changing herself.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And Avery, I'm interested to know, I know you described your film and how you incorporated double Dutch, and that's one of the things that I noticed as well. And a lot of, I would say POCs, they experience that, even POCs in the islands. And that's also part of most of our cultures. And I'm just interested to find out, like, how did you think of that and how you worked around that to integrate that in your film?
Yes, so double Dutch is something that I first explored when I was younger. I tried to do it. My mom tried to teach me. I wasn't that amazing at it. So I was like, okay, but
Same here.
I'm like, I'm not that great at it. I'm a dancer, but I have no coordination when it comes down to double Dutch. It's crazy. But when I had moved to Atlanta, I had learned about the 40 Plus Double Dutch Club. And they're a group that they're all across the nation, absolutely wonderful human beings. And they have all these different clubs that's bringing women together, especially Black women, across the country to double Dutch. And they're all 40 and over. And it's something that's really cool. My aunt, she's a part of one of the chapters. I learned that there was one right near my area. And I was like, I feel like it would be really cool to develop a film around this, because double Dutch is more than just an activity. It's something that has brought so many people, especially Black girls and Black women, together for decades and decades and decades. And after learning the history of that, doing a little bit of research, I'm like, wow, I feel like that's something really powerful to revolve a story around, because I knew I wanted to do a story on Black sisterhood. I just wanted to find the right staple how. And 40 Plus Double Dutch really inspired me. And I was so grateful, because in the film, when you watch all of the women double Dutchers who are part of the all arounds, that's actually the 40 Plus Double Dutch chapter that's near me. And so I was really excited to be able to have the people that were my inspiration for the film actually a part of the film. It felt very full circle to me, but that was truly the main inspiration behind it. 40 Plus Double Dutch, and also just the power of having double Dutch as such a huge staple in our communities. Because like you said, so many different POC have those different activities that serve as community staples in their community, and double Dutch is one of them. So it was very exciting and exhilarating to be able to bring that to life for this short film.
I think that was excellent. And, I like how you were able to tap into that and actually think of that as well.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Ashley, if you can just tell me a little bit about how you got the idea to have the protagonist as someone that is standing up for other people. And then when her father, I guess, falls ill, unfortunately, then I guess she finds her voice and then she's standing up for herself and her father.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of world building involved and, story, especially because there weren't a lot of that there wasn't as much dialogue. I'm really glad you understood the story. But basically, her father has a gold chain, which represents him having a voice. And so when he falls ill and passes away, he passes that voice on to her. And most Black people in their society don't have voices. So at first she's like, oh, I wonder what I'm going to use this for. I might just maybe I'll finally be able to speak up for myself. But when she sees that there's a protest going on at the school and there are a lot of kids being hurt by the quote unquote iron attorneys, who are the people who have their voices and hold the power in that society. She remembers her dad standing up for people in the past, standing up for herself, maybe when she falls or something in soccer and for other kids. And so she really decides to use her voice for good and to stand up for the kids in her society.
Thank you. And was there a reason why you chose the chain?
It was just more of a tangible and physical representation. So you could see, instead of doing a bunch of visual effects, it was good to have more of an object that would represent the voice.
Thank you. My next question is, and it's for everyone, being that as young filmmakers, what made you want to go into filmmaking?
Oh, I'd love to answer this one because I feel like it's something that also can be very relatable to a lot of POC filmmakers. I know for me, I grew up, I wanted to be an actress. I thought I was the next Zendaya. I thought that I was really about to be Emmy Award, Oscar Award winning. I'm not that great of an actress, by the way. But that's what I really thought I was gonna go into. And I really loved entertaining. But I realized when I was younger that I would look at the screen and I didn't see many stories of people who looked like me, and it was a positive story. It was people who looked like me on the screen, but we were always fighting each other, cussing each other out. We were living in hardship. And yes, hardships happen, but it shouldn't be the only representation that we see all of the time, because that's not an accurate representation of what life looks like for any human, regardless of your race. And so once I recognized that, it made me feel a way of, you know what, I'm not just going to sit here and complain about it. I actually want to try and do something to change it. And so I had discovered my love for writing after acting, but I had discovered my love for writing, which formed into screenwriting. And I started doing more research on filmmaking and what directing looked like and what producing looked like. And after that, it really made me realize that this is something that I want to be able to do, not just, to be in the limelight or to get lots of fame and accolades, but because I wanted to change the narrative that was being shown in film and television. And I don't feel like you need to be a certain age to do that. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. So that's really how my journey with filmmaking started. And the reason I fell in love with it is because I wanted to be able to tell stories that we didn't always get to see.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Who would like to go next?
So I remember one of the defining moments for me when my filmmaking career started was when I watched the show Stranger Things. And when it first came out, I was like, I love this show. And then that's where my passion for horror and thrillers started to sprout. And I looked at other horror movies like Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy Krueger, and I noticed there was a common theme. And I was like, none of these stories have any sort of like Black folklore to them. So I started doing my research. I wanted to make horror films that spoke to more than just the cheesy slasher films. And I created my film Desquamated. So that's kind of where my story started. And for those of you, I remember you mentioned my title earlier, just for clarification. Desquamated is a Latin word for the peeling of skin, which is the whole gist of my story.
Thank you for that. Exciting. Ashley.
So I could never, I can't really pinpoint when my interest in filmmaking ever started because it was always there. Like from a young age, like I always drew and I always wrote. So like I love writing and I love drawing, and I would always create like comics or stories or picture books based of course the stories I saw on TV, and make them my own and all of that stuff. And then I like started writing books when I was younger. Obviously never finished them, but I would get halfway. But I love creating stories. So that was really where my interest in film sprouted from. And then from there, I would create my own like little films with like my siblings. And my mom also creates films. So I got to experience that with her. And that really, I learned a lot from her.
Anyone else?
Yes. So for me, similar to Ashley, I kind of started at an early age. Like I was filming things on my mom's BlackBerry, and then I got an iPad and I found out about iMovie, and it was over. It was over once I found out about iMovie, but I never took it seriously. I never thought that this was a career path I could take, because I was like, that's not like substantial. Like I can't, that's not like a real career path. It wasn't until my sophomore year of high school, I didn't make the soccer team. And then my drama club was going through a lot of things because I was doing improv and I wanted to do acting. And then I left my drama club and I started getting interested in my film classes like that my school provided. And I went to an interest meeting and she was like, yeah, the first semester you start the film class, we're gonna do like music videos. So I started coming up with ideas. And by the end of winter break, I was obsessed with this idea in my head, but I didn't have the class in my schedule. So I went to her and I was like, can I borrow a camera equipment to create this film for maybe like Black History Month? It could be presented during Black History Month. And she was like, yeah. So every day after school, I would film like all the Black girls in my school. So the athletes, the intellects, the artists, just the girls walking down the hallway. And I created a music video to the song Brown Skin Girl by Beyonce. And I had fun. I did it for myself. But the impact that it had on the girls when it was presented, I was just getting a lot of messages of like how emotional they were when they saw themselves on the screen and how it made them want to cry. And that made me realize that there is a bigger mission to what I want to do with filmmaking, and that there is a real need for it for, Black girls specifically and underrepresented communities. So that made me realize this was something that I had to do. And that's when I started pursuing it very seriously. So.
Thank you. I also want to know if you had any mistakes that you think helped you in making this project, good mistakes, and what you've learned from it.
I have one, and I feel like this is something that, I don't know if this is just a me thing or if this is something that always happens. When I choose to write, I decide to dump every single idea that I have in my head on the paper, and we're just going to see how it goes. Now, some people may not know, with Black Girls Film Camp, you pitch your idea, they say yes to it, they love it, and then you have to develop it to a short film. Short, meaning it has to be like 6 minutes or less. And I was like, okay, I can do that. Now, why, when I wrote my script for the first time, why was it 23 pages? I was like, you know what, Avery, you can't do this. I knew that I had to cut it down. And sometimes I feel like that can be difficult because it's a project that you're so close to, that you love so much. Every single idea that you have, you want to keep in there. And that's perfectly okay. But I feel like it was just a learning lesson for me to know that sometimes it's okay to like condense your story or just make it happen a little bit faster. And that short films can sometimes be stepping stones to bigger projects that you may want to do, or if you want to expand the story. So you don't have to put in every single thing that you have. And if so, it doesn't have to all be through dialogue. So I feel like me having to condense that script that I had that was basically an episodic when this is supposed to be a short film, I was able to learn a lot about telling, like showing and not telling, like through verbiage. And just, it was a very important experience. At the time, it brought me to tears, but I definitely like this one better than the 23-minute film that I had written. So I feel like that was definitely a struggle for me, but I got through it and I feel like it happened for the best.
Yes, and you made a 6-minute film out of it, right?
Yes, I did.
Who would like to go next?
I say for me, like looking back on my entire process, because our process was a long time. It was like from March to literally June of this year. I wouldn't say I had any like mistakes or any sort of setbacks, because initially, in order to even get into camp, we have to pitch our idea, right? I made sure that every process and every detail of my film was so specific to my strengths that I wouldn't have to struggle. So like even down to it being a silent film, I didn't want to have to worry about anybody not memorizing their lines correctly and having to reshoot and retake the shots. So I just said, scrap the lines, let's make it a silent film. I knew that I had this really amazing guy that I worked with. His name is Leonard Tate. He created my score. I'm really close with him. We have a good relationship, and we created the score together. So I had to have control over that. And I ended up even acting in my own film just to make sure that that specific part that I played in was delivered the way that I wanted it to be delivered.
Thank you. And what was it like? Because I know a lot of filmmakers, they wear several hats. Like I've had Q&As with filmmakers where they were the director, the producer, the writer. What was it like having to be an actor in your own film?
It works out when you have a team that you trust and when you're not trying to do multiple things all at once. Like I had my camera operator, BJ Emerson. He helped, like, like, hey, your face is doing this while you're doing this, you might want to change that. My editor was also on set, Latasha. She was also just like, hey, are you feeling okay? I know you're a germaphobe and you're on the bathroom floor right now. Like, are you freaking out? And I was like, yes, I am freaking out, but it's okay. It looks good for the
We
camera.
have something in common.
Having a support really makes a difference, because if you don't trust your team, that will completely mess up your entire experience. So having a trustworthy team really helped me out.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. And Ashley?
I agree with Avery. One of the biggest things was definitely condensing my film into 6 minutes. Like I was probably like, oh, can I make this 10 minutes? Like, please, like, I don't know if I'll be able to fit this in 6 minutes, but my editor got it done. She got it done in 6 minutes, and I was so thankful. But in terms of mistakes, honestly, I made a lot. Like I probably couldn't even narrow it down to just one or two. And the most difficult thing is obviously when it's your first film and doing a story as big and complicated as mine, is just planning out, of course, the shooting and, just the planning with the actors, because I had a big cast. And thank God for my team, because it was difficult planning it. And we shot over a couple of weekends, actually. And so we had to really do it in a short period of time. And it was my first film. So I was kind of inexperienced at outlining the dates, making sure everyone was available. But fortunately, we were able to all shoot it. And so I think one of the footage we see in my film, that is not even a fraction of the amount of takes it took. The fighting scene, or not the fighting scene, but the protest scene, that took so many takes. The father's illness, that was filmed over a couple of hours, because I had to obviously get the different angles, and we had to take breaks. So that was just a lot of hard work, and I made a lot of mistakes over the process. But mostly, I think it helped me with planning for next time, making sure I get the exact times and locations down to be able to plan better next time.
Thank you for that. And what was your experience working with an editor?
My editor, Lauren, was literally amazing. Um, she was I literally leaned on her so much. So I would have to call her like a couple times to make sure make sure like you get these details. She would send in like multiple revisions and I would like critique each one and she would like help me throughout the process. And so I would let her know what I thought might need to be improved and she would fix it. And then there are a couple times where I'm like, she had to go back and forth on like one specific detail that I was really specific about. And so she was really helpful and amazing. And I'm so grateful I got a chance to work with her.
Thank you. And Sydney.
I think my two biggest mistakes was definitely preparation and fear. I prepared. I'm more of like the creative person with the ideas, but I'm not the strategic plan person, and that really like bit me. But it was also that I have a fear of asking for help, so I waited till like the last minute to ask my friends and ask people to kind of help me with this film or even be in the film. And a lot of things fell through because I was just scared to reach out to people and be like, hey, can you be in my film? Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? I think creating that film really showed me the reality, and the reality scared me because before, when I was creating films, I didn't have any rules, I didn't have any limitations, but because this was Black Girls Film Camp sets it up in such a step-by-step way, I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. I can't just ask people, but you can always ask people for help. You can always reach out for people, and the earlier you do it, the better, because they need more time to agree. So that was something that I really, really struggled with. A lot of things fell through, but they came back up because it got made. But definitely prepare and, push through that fear. You're limitless. So, yeah.
Thank you for that. Avery, I saw you nodding your head and agreeing with Sydney.
Yes,
Did you want to add anything?
absolutely. I know for me, I'm always a person where I feel like I have to wear every single hat that there is. And with Black Girls Film Camp, this wasn't my first film, but it was my first film where I had an actual team besides me. And I was afraid to ask them for help. Like, I felt like I had to do everything myself independently. And I feel like one of the biggest lessons that I learned from doing Black Girls Film Camp was that you don't have to be afraid to ask for help. And you can't always do every single thing yourself. That's not what life is about. And Black Girls Film Camp, they provide us with an amazing team. You're provided a creative coach that can serve as a producer and as such, an editor, and an alumni mentor. And so I had all three of those things, and I was blessed to have all three of them in the same area as me. So all of them were like able to come on my shoot day. And I don't think I realized how beautiful it was to be able to ask for help and have help, because it makes your production process much easier than you having to do every single thing yourself. It's still a lot of work, but it's a bit easier when you have other people besides you. So it's okay to just ask. So I really resonated with what Sydney said, which is why I'm like, I was nodding my head till my head snaps off my neck, because I agree with that 1000%.
What's the process like to get into Black Girls Film Camp?
It's such a beautiful process. So the way that it goes is you come up with a concept and an idea where a Black girl is the main protagonist in your story. And it has to be something that can be shared in 6 minutes or less. At least that was what it was like for our cohort. I never know how it'll be subject to change in the future. And you have to create a video pitch. And you do a video pitch that's basically just pitching what your story is about, why it deserves to be told, why it's a need, why it's a necessity for people to be able to see, how you plan on telling it. And then it's a little waiting process to see if you make it to the interview stage, where you interview with other candidates and see how it goes. And then if you receive an invitation to be a part of the Black Girls Film Camp cohort, then you're assigned a team. And it's just really beautiful. It's a really beautiful process, and they make it very easy, very organized. And so it's really great.
Just good. Thank you for sharing that. That was, if anyone else is interested in joining the program. So that's good for us to have that on YouTube. This question is for everyone. Is there any advice that you can give to young filmmakers or aspiring filmmakers that want to get into filmmaking? And that's for everyone. Anyone can answer that question.
The first thing that I instantly thought of, because we get asked this question a lot as BGFC girls, is do not be afraid to be different. Especially in my case, I was the first like horror thriller film to ever be created in the 3 years running of BGFC, which was honest. It was a huge deal, and I was lucky that Black Girls Film Camp took the shot on my story, even though it was quirky and different from everybody else's. But my advice would be, even say if people don't accept it, keep going with your idea. If you believe in your idea, stick with it, because eventually people will see what you see in your story and it'll come to light.
Great advice. Anyone else?
My biggest advice would be one, to be creative, and then two is honestly I don't want to be like, stay true to yourself, but tell the truth and be truthful in your stories. Tell what you think is you see in society, or through your outlook, and be sure to communicate it. You don't have to go by of course, like Taryn said, the status quo. The media really needs diversity in voices, opinions, and stories, and especially Hollywood. If you have a unique story, that's amazing. Be creative and be able to communicate and express that through your cinematography, I don't know, your camera lens, be able to communicate it through there.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you. Sydney.
I think for me, my biggest advice was be to do your research. Do your research. I don't think people realize all the opportunities there is for film, but also the people that are in film. And a lot of people in film do not have the fame that you can't reach out to them and ask them questions. But there's also a lot of programs for film people, and a lot, like I didn't research Black Girls Film Camp, but locally I was a part of NoCo Film Fellowship in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know if it's still around, but that's because I did my research. If this is something that you really want to do, look into the steps that you need to take, or the programs that are available for you, that you can get more knowledge about film, because it is there's so much to learn. But also research people. There's so many people that are not famous, but they've done amazing things that you can talk to just by sending an email. So please do that.
Great advice. Avery.
Yes, I really want to emphasize what Sydney said, because that was some of the advice that I was going to give too. Do your research. And also, the first yes that you're going to get has to be from yourself. And what I mean by that is, sometimes depending on whatever circumstance you may be going through in life, you may feel like, oh, I'm too young to achieve this. I'm too old to achieve this. Oh, I won't be good at it. No, you need to tell yourself yes if it's something that you want to go after. And when you say that yes, be fully dedicated to it. Say yes to your idea, because if you believe in yourself, then other people will believe in you as well. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't feel confident in an idea that you have, then no one else is really going to feel confident in you either. So make sure to kind of go forward with that mindset of be that first yes for yourself, and then do the research to be able to go after that dream that you may have. And Black Girls Film Camp related, when a part of Black Girls Film Camp, people think, oh, it's just the process of making your film. It's so much more than that. You receive such a beautiful community. We have different sessions on Saturdays where we hear from so many different industry professionals who are feeding and pouring into us so much advice that we may not get from anywhere else. And you form connections with the team that they provide you with a variety of other creative coaches and editors and alumni mentors. And also you get a whole bunch of new sisters. Like, these girls have become my sisters just from doing Black Girls Film Camp. And so if it's Black Girls Film Camp related advice, I say take advantage of every single opportunity that they provide you with. And once again, be that first yes to yourself. So that's
great advice. Great advice. And community is important. Very important. And I really look forward to seeing your other projects as well. And I think you guys will do great in the film industry as well. Keep doing what you're doing. So I want to thank you all for joining us today, because we ran out of time. And my last question would be, if there's any projects that you guys if anyone's working on that we could look forward to.
So
You could-
I'll say that there is something that is very special to me that I'm working on. It's not necessarily film related, but it is an event that I will be hosting in the Atlanta area in the winter, which I'm very excited about with my drive that I have. It's a philanthropic drive, Love Carries On, where we raise duffel bags and luggage tax for foster children. So I just want to tell everyone, stay on the lookout for that because we're really hoping to raise a lot of bags for foster children this year. So if you want to be on the lookout for that, look out for Love Carries On Drive on Instagram. You can find out more on my personal things as well. And also, guys, just like sign up for Black Girls Film Camp.
Yes.
They're opening soon. So you should do that too.
They're doing amazing work. And, we're really appreciative that the work that they're doing with young POCs, which is very important. Starting everyone, trying to start young. The support that they're giving and also the tools that they are giving you all. Once again, thank you. And if anyone that's watching or that's going to watch the YouTube, please go online and watch these amazing films. It's in Short Block Program 10. And thank you so much. Appreciate it.